Good morning. Welcome back. So, last class we did these two programs. We started with the chapter pointers. We completed inheritance. Hope you have understood that. And then we started with the chapter pointers, and we did like what are pointers and what is memory allocation and what is a memory address. And then we did these two programs like how to write a program to display the value and address of a variable using the variable as well as the pointer in the second program. Okay. Now, we'll continue with that. What do you mean by direct addressing? There are two kinds of addressing, direct and indirect. In direct addressing, a variable in one step using the variable name, accessing the variable in one step using the variable name. For example, I have int x is equal to 10, cout x, yeah, it will print me 10. So, I am accessing x using the variable name, right? This is nothing but direct addressing, like accessing a variable in one step using the variable name. So, if I have a variable x and I am storing a value 10 in that, and if I say cout x, like I am directly accessing it using the variable name. This is direct accessing. What do you mean by then indirect accessing? Accessing a variable in two steps by first using a pointer that gives the location of the variable. Like for example, int star ptr is equal to ampersand x, and then accessing the variable using the location, that is cout star ptr. It will also print me x only, 10 only, but I am first making it point to a pointer to point to that location, and using that pointer I am getting the value which is present in that location. This is called indirect addressing. So, hopefully you have understood what is direct and indirect addressing. The next is size of. What does size of give? We have already done this. Like size of will give you the number of bytes required to store that data type, variable of that data type. So, size of will give, so if I say size of x, it will give me 2 bytes. Why is it so? Because x is an integer. So, integer requires 2 bytes of memory. So, size of x would give me 2 bytes. Like size of gives you the number of bytes required for that variable or a data type. I can also say size of int will give me 2 bytes. Size of float will give me 4. Size of double will give me 8. So, depending on the data type, if I pass a structure to it, then it will add up individually all the elements of the structure, like how many bytes of memory would be required for that, and give you the total. The similar way even for a class or a object. Fine. So, size of gives you then when what do you pass? An argument which is passed would be a variable or a data type itself. It will give you how many bytes is required to store that. So, hopefully you have understood direct addressing, indirect addressing, and the size of. Please have a look. The next is pointer expressions and pointer arithmetic. When we can perform arithmetic operations on a pointer just as you can on a numeric value. So, what do you mean by that? 2 plus 3 is nothing but a numeric value, and addition is an arithmetic operation. Similar way, we can do even arithmetic operations on a pointer. So, we will be writing a program and I will show you how exactly it will work. So, we can perform arithmetic operations on a pointer just as you can on a numeric value. The 4 arithmetic operators that can be used on pointers are increment, that is plus is nothing but incremented by 1. Decrement is nothing but minus, which means that it gets decremented by 1. Addition is plus and subtraction is difference. So these are the arithmetic operators that can be used with pointers, and you can perform arithmetic operations on a pointer just as you perform on a numeric value. So write a program to illustrate pointer expression and pointer arithmetic. Please make a note of this program, and when I write it, please make a note of the output also. Then only you can understand the program. So please make a note of the program statement. A program to illustrate pointer expression and pointer arithmetic. So how do I start it? Start with hash include iostream.h hash include conivo.h. Let me say void pointer. See, pointer is a concept. It is not a keyword. I don't declare a pointer using the keyword pointer. So I can use it as my function name. Only keywords cannot be used as identifier names. But then since pointer, I will not declare a pointer using the keyword pointer, or pointer keyword is not there. It is not used anywhere and it is not there. So I can use it as a function name. So how do I start that? Let me have int a, b, x, y. Let me have 4 integer variables, and then int star ptr1, ptr2. So there are 2 pointers star, there are 2 integer pointers, that is ptr1 and ptr2. So ptr1 and ptr2 are pointers which points to a memory location which stores an integer value. And I have 4 integer variables, that is a, b and x and y. Please make a note of this. These are normal variables because I don't have a star there, and these are pointers. So I have 2 pointers and 4 variables. After that, let me say cout enter the values for a and b. Okay, enter the for a and b. Cin a. So I am asking the user to enter the values for a and b, and I am taking in the values for a and b. So let me make ptr1 point to a. So that is why ampersand, because I cannot say ptr1 is equal to a. When I say that, it will hold a value, whatever you have entered, and I cannot assign it to a value. It has to be an address only. So when I say ampersand a, it will give you the address of a. So I am making ptr1 point to the location, that is memory location of a. So ptr2 is equal to ampersand b. So when I say ptr1 ampersand a and ptr2 is ampersand b. Okay, then write down x is equal to star ptr1 plus star ptr2 minus 6. Then let me say y is equal to 6 minus star ptr1 upon star ptr2 plus 30. Okay, please make a note. So now we'll continue with the program. We wrote x and y. So let me continue my function pointer. I'm continuing here. I have not completed it yet. So cout address of a using variable, that is ampersand a. cout address of A using pointer. PTR1, right? PTR1 was pointing to A. So PTR1 should give me the address of A. If I say star PTR1, it will give me the value of A. If I just say PTR1, it will give me the address of A, because I have made PTR1 is equal to ampersand A. The same way, cout address of B using variable. So when I say ampersand B or ampersand A, it gives me the address of the variable itself. So it will give me ampersand B, it will give me the address of B, right? And then see here it gives me the address of A. This also will give me the address of A because it is pointing to A. Right? Whenever you print a pointer, it will just give me the memory location or the memory address to which it is pointing to. The same way PTR2 is pointing to B because I made PTR2 is equal to ampersand B. So I will say cout address of B using pointer. So I will say PTR2. So what happens here? For example, address of A is 0x927B. This is the address of A. So this also will give me this, and PTR1, that is A and PTR1 both will give me this address because ampersand A will give me the address of A and PTR1 is pointing to A. Why is it pointing to A? Because I made PTR1 is equal to ampersand A. Yeah, I had made that, so it will give me this value. Similarly, for example, if the address of B is 827F, then both B and PTR2 will give me this address. This is the memory location of A, this is the memory location of B. Both PTR and ampersand A and ampersand B and PTR2 will give me the address of B, and PTR2 will give me the address of B, and ampersand A and PTR1 will give me the address of A. So this would be printed with this statement when I run this program. Still we haven't finished it. We are going to continue. Since it will get erased, I am explaining you here. So A, ampersand A and PTR1 will give me the memory location because I am making PTR1 point to A, and ampersand A, when A used with ampersand, will give you the address of the variable itself. Please make a note. Now we'll continue with this program. Let me say star PTR1 is equal to star PTR1 plus 70. Then star PTR2 is nothing but star PTR2 plus 2. So cout A, B, and then cout X and Y. I will close my function. This is the end of pointer function. So let us say I will write main here, but before that let me explain what would be the output for this. To begin with, I had 4 variables x, y and a and b, and 2 pointers star ptr1 and star ptr2. Fine. I made ptr1, that is ptr1 is equal to ampersand a and ptr2 is equal to ampersand b. After that, I asked the user to enter the values of a and b. For example, if the value I enter of a is 30 and b is 6. If I enter the value of a as 30 and b as 6. when I ask the user, what will happen? So what was x there? I had done x is equal to, hopefully you have noted down that, but then again for your reference I am writing x is equal to star ptr1 plus star ptr2 minus 6, and y is equal to 6 minus star ptr1 upon star ptr2 plus 30. This is what I had written, right? Now, what happens here and what happens here? Like when I say C out x and C out y, let me calculate the value of x and value of y. What is the star PTR1? When I use a pointer with star, it will take the value in that location. So what is star PTR1? PTR1 is pointing to A. So what is the value of A? 30. So it will take 30 plus star PTR2. So PTR2 is pointing to B and star PTR2 will give me the value or the data in that location, which is nothing but 6 minus 6. So plus 6 minus 6, x is nothing but 30. It will print me x is equal to 30. Yes. And let me calculate y here. What is y? It is 6 minus star PTR1 is 30 by 6 plus 30. So first division happens. It will be 6 minus 5 plus 30. That is 31. Yeah. So it will print me 31 here. Y is equal to 31. X is equal to 30. So it will print me x is equal to 30 and y is equal to 31. This calculation is here. This calculation is here. Hopefully you have understood this. So what will it print me here for A and B? So before that, see, whenever I change the value of A, star PTR1 value also gets changed. Similarly, whenever I change the value of star PTR1, then automatically the value of A gets changed because both of them point to the same memory location. So whether you refer it as A also, changed value happens, and if you refer it as PTR also, the changed value will happen. So what am I doing here? Here what am I doing is star PTR1, that is the value of PTR1 is equal to star PTR1. What is the value of star PTR1? 30, because A is 30. 30 plus 70. So what it will be? 100. And then this will be star PTR2. 6 plus 2 is 8. So it will print me A is equal to 100 and B is equal to 8. Because PTR2 and B are pointing to the same location. So any changes made there, whether you refer it by B or by PTR star PTR2, it will give me the same value. Here I am making P star PTR2 plus 2. Star PTR2 is nothing but B value, which I entered as 6 plus 2 is 8, and here it will be 100. So the output would be x and y is x is 30, y is 31, A is 100 and B is 8. So this would be the output of my program. So along with the address I did there. So please try to understand this, then I'll write the main and I'll complete my program. If you have any confusion, and then the value of A is 30, B is 6, what as a user I have entered. So this value changes, all this calculation will change accordingly. So let me complete my program. It is void main clear screen, then pointer gets ch. This is the function call. Yeah, this is the function call, and this completes my program. So hopefully you have understood that. The main thing you need to understand is A and PTR1 were pointing to one place and B and PTR2 were pointing to other. So if I say star PTR1, it will give me the value of A, and star PTR2 will give me the value of B. So whenever the same way for B also applies. Like if I change star PTR1, then automatically the value of A changes. If I change star PTR2, automatically the value of B changes. And X and Y we used pointer arithmetic and pointer expression. So you are clear with that? Then we'll continue with pointers and arrays. So what is a array? Array is nothing but a set of elements of the same type under one name, and it is always continuous elements, like it will be stored one next to another in the memory. Yes, we all know that. But then array name, that is here, if I say A is an array name always points to the memory location of the first element. So if I increment it, I can traverse this way. If I decrement, this way, A plus plus, A minus minus. Since they are in continuous memory locations, I can increment, move forward or backward by using increment or the decrement operator. So array name is treated as a constant pointer because array name holds the location or the address, or it is also known as the base address. Base address is nothing but the address of the first element, that is the 0th element of the array. That address, whenever I say address, it is always a memory address. Address of the first element or the A of 0, nothing but the first element of the array, and array name points to that. That is why, since it is pointing to a memory location, I call it as a constant pointer. Why is it constant? Because every time it will refer there, then you can traverse forward or backward. Like if you traverse forward, yeah, plus plus. So when I say plus plus, how many bytes will it increment? Suppose if it's an integer array, then it will increment by 2 bytes. If it's a character array, it will increment by 1 byte. And if it's a float array, the increment happens in 4 bytes. So depending on the memory location, when I increment that many bytes, it will increment. It is not always by 1. So one element, so number of bytes required to store that element, that many bytes gets incremented. If it's a float array, like one element requires 4 bytes. So when I say increment, it will increment by 4 bytes, not by 1 byte. So if it's a character, it increments by 1 byte. And array name is treated as a constant pointer because it always points to the first element of the array, and this A of 0, that is the address of the first element, is also known as the base address of the array. In other words, base address is the address of the first element in the array, or the address of A of 0, where 0 is the subscript. Subscript value starts from 0 to n minus 1, where A of 0 is the first element of the array. Hopefully you have understood this. Please go through this once. So we'll write 2 programs so that you will understand it better, and these 2 are really important programs. The first one, write a program to print array elements using a constant pointer. So let me use the read and write, not only print, I will say read and print array elements. Let me use a constant pointer to read the array elements, or ask the user to enter it, take in and print it using constant pointer. This constant pointer is the key here. So using constant pointer, you need to read and write the array elements. Before that, let me just tell you, normally till now how we have read array elements, read and write array elements, till now what we have done, and then I will write a program to show you how can I use a constant pointer. Constant pointer is nothing but the array name, because array always points to the first element, that is the base address, right? So that is the constant pointer. Only using that, without using the subscript or the index values, how can I access that? So before that, let me tell you how do I do it regularly. So for example, for cout enter the elements, and as let us assume n has got 5, n is 5, like I need to enter 5 elements. So I would have taken it from the user before only, and he has entered 5, which is the number of elements in the array. Now I am asking the user to enter the elements. So for I is equal to 0. Why am I starting from 0? Because the subscript value starts from 0 to n minus 1 is nothing but 5. Like 0 to 4 is 5 elements. So I will say I less than n and I plus plus. What is the value of your n is 5, which the user has entered. Fine. That is, you would have taken like hash include statements you have written, you would have declared the array, and you would have asked the user how many elements, what are the number of elements in the array. As a user, I have entered n. So how do I read the array elements? Reading is nothing but taking the input from the user. So I will say cin, and if array is a, so I will say cin of I, right? This is how I do it. So cin of a of 0, then I becomes 1, cin of 1, 2, 3, 4, and when I becomes 5, it will go out. So I would have taken the 0th element, the first element, that is a of 0, I would have taken a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, a of 4. When it becomes 5, it will go out of the loop. So how many elements are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 elements I would have taken. As a user, I would have entered this. So suppose these are the values. As a user, I entered in this loop. So cin, this one, this is how I normally take it. Cout, the array elements are so I will say for I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, cout a of I. Yes. So it will print me, cout statements will print me this values, correct? So this is how normally you take in the array elements and you display the array elements using the subscript. Fine. Using a for loop, first you will ask the user to enter the number of elements, then you write the for loop. Using this, cin will take in the values or read, and this is print. This is how normally we do. Now we'll do the same thing but using a constant pointer. Getting it? To read and write the elements of an array using constant pointer. What is constant pointer? Array name is the constant pointer which points to the base address or points to the memory location of the first element of the array. Because array is continuous memory location, so you can traverse so that you can get the next element. That is, they are physically stored one next to another. Now we'll start with the program. Before that, let me say what was my program. Write a program to read and print array elements using a constant pointer. So hash, please make a note of this. Hash include iostream.h, con io.h. So let me say void constant pointer. Let this be the name of my function. In that, let me have int a of maximum 10 elements n and I. So I have a. When I have a as an array, integer array of maximum 10 elements, n and I are integer values. After that, I will say enter the number of elements in the array, because my array can store maximum of 10 elements, but I need not store all the 10. So I'm asking the user, how many elements do you want in your array? So cout enter the number of elements in the array. Cin n. So n will have the number of elements in the array. So when I know the number of elements, the next step is what? To ask the user to enter the array elements, because I need to store it in the array, then only I can print the array, right? So how will I do that? Cout and enter the elements of the array. So I'm asking the user to enter the elements of the array. Okay. Number of elements I have already taken, and then I am asking the user to enter the elements of the array. Hopefully you have understood till now. Like I have declared a of 10, that is integer array of maximum 10 elements by the name a, and then n and I are two integer variables. Then I am asking the user the number of elements in the array, that is how many elements are you going to have in your array. After that, I am taking cin n, that is I am asking the user to enter the number of elements. Then I am asking the user enter the array elements. See, number of elements and array elements are two different things. Now I am asking the user enter the array elements, so that I will read the array elements from the keyboard. Please have a look, make a note, then we can continue with the program. Now I have asked the user to enter the elements. Let me take in, since it is an iterative thing, like suppose if I say 5 elements, so cin statement would be repeated 5 times, right? So I need to put it in an iterative loop, and since I know how many times the loop would be executed, because loop would execute n times, let me put it in for loop. So when you know prior, like you know how many times the loop would be executed, it is always best to use a for loop, because it's a fixed execution loop. So I will say for I is equal to 0, because array subscript starts from 0, I less than n, correct? I plus plus. I will say cin star of a plus I. Please make a note here. What was a? A is a constant pointer, right? A is the name of the array which I have declared. So I am taking in the value star of a plus I. So the value of the first element would be star of a plus 0 is 0, star of a. Then it will go back. It will increment to the I value, I becomes 1, then the star of the next element, like a plus 0, a plus 1th element, a plus 2 element, a plus 3, a plus 4, and then it will stop, because 0 to a plus 4th element is nothing but the, correct? We are making a would be pointing to the 0th element, then you are making it point to the first, second, third and fourth. Together it is 5 elements. This is how with the constant pointer, or only by using the array name, I can read the element of the array. Then after reading that, what need to be done? I need to print that, correct? So once I read it, the program was read and write the elements of the array. I have read it. Now I need to print it. So I will say cout and del the elements of the array of the array, I can say using constant pointer. This one you please neglect. Here it's a semicolon. Sorry, not a semicolon. The quotes end here. That is the elements of the array using constant pointer, end the quotes and then end a semicolon. Again, it's a reiterative thing because the n number of elements I need to print. So I will again put it in a for loop. I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So I will say cout star of a plus I will add some space between the elements. Are you able to understand this? See, ptr star ptr, what will it give me? The value present at that location. Same way, star a plus I, where a is a pointer, getting it? A plus I can do pointer arithmetic. The next element using star will ensure that it gives me the value which is present in that location. So this is how I print the elements of an array using a constant pointer. That is cout star of a plus I. First time it is 0 because the first element. The same way you will go to n minus 1 elements. When I becomes n, then it will go out of the loop. So you would have got a to 0 to n minus 1 elements gets printed. After that, I will close my constant pointer function also over here. So I using constant pointer, this is how you read and this is how you write the elements. If you miss out the star, it will give you error. Please make sure that why am I using? Because I am referring to the value which is present in that location. Star of a plus I will give me the value of it. Now I need to write my main function, otherwise my program will not work. Void main, clear screen, constant pointer, so this is nothing but the function call. Please make a note. This would complete the program. We finished the first program, that is a program to read and write. Okay. Read and write, read and print the array elements using a constant pointer. What is a constant pointer? The array name is the constant pointer because it always points to the base address, that is the address of the first element of the array, that is a of 0. Suppose a is the array name, that is the 0th element is nothing but the first element because the subscript value starts from 0. Then now we will go with the second program, that is write a program to read and write array elements using pointer variable. So you are using a pointer to do that. Here I am using a constant pointer, but here I am using a pointer variable to read and write the elements of a array. Getting it? So before that, let me tell you something. Like for example, I have int star ptr comma n is equal to 10 and I have int star ptr1 ptr2. Okay. Now I have PTR is equal to n. If I write, it will give me error, right? Because pointer always holds a memory location. So n, which nothing but it means that PTR is equal to 10. So I cannot give a number to it. It has to be always a memory location. So I need to write PTR is equal to ampersand n. Can I write PTR 2 is equal to PTR 1? Is this allowed? Yes, because this is a pointer, this is a pointer. Again, it is pointing to a memory location. I am making it. So I can assign a pointer to a pointer. And for example, if a of 10 is there, int a of 10, array is there, can I say PTR2 is equal to a? Will it allow me? It will allow me because a is a constant pointer. Again, it holds a memory location. So I can assign directly a pointer to a pointer, but if I have to assign a normal one, you need to use the ampersand because you can assign it to a memory location. Since two pointers I can directly assign because both of that point to a memory location. Please have this in mind when I write my next program. So the program was to read and write the elements of an array using a pointer variable. Last program we did was constant pointer. Now I have to do a program using a pointer variable. Let me say hash include iostream dot h hash include conio dot h void pointer. Again, pointer is not a keyword, so I can use it. Int a of 10 star ptr comma n. So I have ptr as a variable which is a pointer variable of type integer. I have an array of maximum 10 elements and n is there. So after that, what will I do? And let me say int I also is there. So then I need to ask the user, first thing is I need to ask the user to enter the number of elements in the array. Okay, cout enter the number of elements in the array. So I'm asking the user to enter the number of elements. I'm saying C in n. So n is the number of elements in the array. Please make a note of this declarations. Int a of 10, that is I have an integer array which can hold up to maximum 10 numbers star ptr. Star ptr is nothing but an integer ptr, like a ptr which points to an integer location, a memory address holding an integer value, and n is a variable. Again, I is also a variable which I have declared here. All of this are of type integer. Then I am asking the user to enter the number of elements in the array, and in n I am taking in the number of elements. Please make a note so that we can proceed. Now I need to say for before that, once I have taken in the number of elements, I need to ask the user to enter the array elements. Fine. Cout enter the array elements. Enter. Now again, multiple elements, iterative. I know n times it has to execute, so I will be taking in as a for loop. For now I have to use the pointer, so I will say ptr is equal to a. So I don't use ampersand because A is also a pointer and PTR is also a pointer. PTR is equal to A is nothing but I am making PTR point to the base address, that is the 0th element, A of 0's address, right? I am making it point to A of 0 here. Why? Because A points to the base address, nothing but the address of the first element of the array, which is nothing but A of 0. So PTR also will point to that memory location. PTR is equal to A. So both A and PTR would be pointing to the A of 0th element's memory location. Then PTR is less than A plus N. So A plus N, because I will have A plus N minus 1 would be the last element, right? So it should be less than A plus N. And PTR plus plus. This is again pointer arithmetic. PTR plus plus will increment it by 2 bytes because it is pointing to an integer location. Each elements take 2 bytes to store. So it will be every time I say PTR plus plus, the increment would be by 2 bytes. So this one you need to pay attention because 0 to n, that is A to 0 to n minus 1 is nothing but the number of elements. So when I say A plus n, it should be less than that. It is similar to I less than n. So A plus n minus 1 would be the last element, right? So A plus n, PTR should be less than A plus n, and then PTR plus plus, PTR is equal to A. Now I say star PTR. Yes, I am taking in the values. That is why I have to use star PTR. So this is how you read an array element using a pointer. That is C in star of PTR. After that, once you have read it, I need to print it, right? Endel, the array elements are again a for loop. For you have to start with first element. So PTR is equal to A, PTR is less than A plus N, PTR plus plus. So again Cout, I have to use star because I need to print the value. Star PTR. Let me say I want to give a gap between the elements. So I put it this way. So are you getting it? This is the key. See, PTR plus n minus 1 would be the last element. So it should be less than n. PTR is equal to A because both are pointers. I am making it point to one location. And then I am going to increment using pointer arithmetic. And then when I say PTR star, C in star of PTR, that is a value. Whenever I have to access the value, then I need to use star. So since I am using PTR to take in the values, I have to use star PTR, not star A. Okay. Then the same way I am printing the output also, like C in star PTR and star Cout star PTR, wherein PTR is less than A plus N and PTR starts from A. So please write it down, then I can write my main program. So just check for the number of brackets there. If I have missed one bracket, add one flower bracket for the function. Fine, because I think after for I left out that bracket. If I have left it out, please close your function also, the pointer function. Then you start your void main, otherwise you will get too many errors. Void main, clear screen. What was the name? Pointer. This is nothing but the function call. This is the and then I'm closing it. So this would complete my program. That is, how do you read and write the elements of an array using a pointer. So we did how we do normally using index, how we do constant pointer, as well as how we do with a pointer. How do we do with a pointer, and how I can assign a pointer to a pointer, but then I cannot assign a normal variable to a pointer. I need to have an ampersand, because always pointer takes in a memory location, not a number. So today's class we did what is direct addressing, indirect addressing, then size of the pointer arithmetic and expressions. We wrote a program for that, and then we did constant pointer, like what is a constant pointer and how do I access it. We did a program on reading and writing an array, one dimensional array using a constant pointer, and then we also did a program how to write a one dimensional array using a pointer. So please go through this, and if you have not understood, please rewind the video and watch it, and if you have a system, please execute it so that you will understand it in a better way. Now today's homework questions, please make a note. The first question, what is address operator? Give an example. Second question, what is pointer operator? Give an example. Third question, mention any two advantages of pointers. Next is, how do we declare a pointer? Give an example. Please make a note of these questions. Hopefully you have understood these. It's not very easy. It's not that difficult also. But pay attention so that it will be useful to you, because if you continue computer science, then pointers are a very important concept. So see you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.